As a flight dispatcher, I played a major role before the flight departs. I made decisions based on a number of factors. One, meteorology. My role was to check the forecast at the destination to find out if that aircraft would be able to land safely. Two, I also needed to check the runway to find out if the length of the runway and what you call LCN, load classification number, was able to carry that aircraft. So if the aircraft flies from departure to destination, they should be able to land safely. Then also, I needed to check the pavement classification number, that's PCN, to find out if that aircraft will be able to, the apron will be able to sustain or carry the weight of the aircraft. So those were major things that I needed to look at as a flight dispatcher.
What countries did you ever fly, and what sort of passengers did you carry?
I carried VIPs, we flew VIPs, and went to Russia, Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Africa, went to Nairobi, that's Kenya, then Ethiopia, Guinea, Senegal, Accra, that's in Ghana, also Freetown, Liberia. The job also took me to the US, that's the United States of America. Also came to the UK to work as an operations officer and also operations manager.
Can you give us some names of the people that you flew?
As a flight dispatcher, I dispatched flights that flew President Shagari of Nigeria, President Obasanjo, President Babangida. He was the last military president that flew on his aircraft, and I was responsible for, the flight when it went into Calabar, and then when he also flew into Maiduguri in Nigeria. I was on those two flights.
Can you tell us about any memorable experience flying any of them?
Yes, there was an experience when we flew President Shagari from Nigeria to India.
Okay. Can you replay that incident to us?
We took off from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. We were flying from Jeddah to Delhi, New Delhi, with President Shagari on board. We took off not knowing that we were going to encounter severe clear air turbulence. Now, to help pilots and to help everyone involved in making decisions whether to fly or not to fly, the Met Office produced what we call the SIG weather chart. So I picked up this SIG weather chart from the Met Office before we took off, reviewed it, looked at it, showed it to the pilots, the flight engineer, and there was no indication that we were going to run into severe clear air turbulence. Of course, we took off. And when we took off from Jeddah, one thing I remember clearly was that the estimates that I gave to the pilots, because we have what you call checkpoints, the estimates that I gave to the pilots, we arrived at the destinations at those points well before my own estimates, because we had a tailwind. And I think it was about 150 nautical miles per hour. But what then happened was that we ran into clear air turbulence. You don't see it. It's clear air turbulence. And we lost height. And the wind threw the aircraft up, then threw the aircraft almost like down and up. It was just very turbulent. And the wings were flapping. So, and inside the cockpit, as you know, the bell was ringing. It's a kind of warning bell that tells the pilot that the aircraft was either overspeeding or so. And the temptation would be to reduce speed. And if you try to do that, you can actually lose control completely. And that aircraft will go into what you call a stall. And once you lose control, and that's dangerous, that could lead to a crash. So we went through that. And at that point, I was afraid. I could see the co-pilot, the flight engineer, I think, where I was. He sat down. It was almost like he was only just battling to protect himself. And it was only later I found out that the co-pilot himself was technically like frozen on his seat. It was just the captain that was trying to control the aircraft. Eventually we came out of it, and we went back and checked the chart and found that it wasn't in the forecast. It wasn't indicated that we were going to run into the severe clear air turbulence. So that was a major, I would say, incident, something that I never experienced in my life as a flight dispatcher.
How did this incident affect your life?
Well, when we came out, I was afraid. It made me to reflect on a number of things. And to fly back to Nigeria became a big problem. How were we going to avoid that area? That was something which we started thinking about. So this time we were very, very careful. But concerning my own life, the moment God took us out of that, I knew that it was just His love for me and for everyone on the aircraft. So that was just what God did. So for me, and made me to learn from that experience. It was theological reflection, my own way, to know that God really loves and cares and protects.
You were flying a very important person. Were there any repercussions or issues that rose from that incident?
Yes, of course, there was an investigation, which is normal. There was an investigation. The documents, you don't throw them away. So we presented, and to prove that the pilot did not intend to kill the president. So flying on VVIP flights, it's different from flying just standard commercial flights.
From all your near-death experiences flying, is there anything you've learned?
Yes, I have learned a lot from I would say near-death experiences whilst flying. It's only God that protects. You can plan, you can read the weather, you can understand the charts, you can do everything. It's only God. I remember that another flight, was with a group of pilots, 2 pilots and 2 flight engineers. 3 pilots and 2 flight engineers. We're taking off from India, that's New Delhi, to go to Beijing in China with the vice president. And we were supposed to fly over the mountains, because that's how you fly from India. The route took us over mountains, and we started thinking about what you call drift down. That if for any reason, we lost an engine or 2, and then was there any guarantee that we'll be able to clear the highest point? So in the cockpit, the captain said that was one of the reasons why he likes to enjoy himself, that one day he may probably want to take off and may not be able to take off for any reason. And so I became concerned myself. I didn't know he was thinking about that. So, but it was okay. We didn't have any problem. It was normally you have experienced pilots flying the president, and most captains are very experienced. So you don't become a captain and without the experience. So you'll be able to handle these things.
Why did you retire as a pilot?
Well, retired as a flight dispatcher, I would say, because I needed to do something different. Partly was God's call on my life that made me to leave the airline business completely. I decided to look at other things apart from the airline business, because it's very interesting. You go to different places. The flying experience, fantastic, but it means you won't always be with your family, and it's not an ideal thing for a man who wants to be there for his wife and children, and that was my main reason for not wanting to continue.
What do you say to people who get angry because flights have been cancelled and the plans have been ruined?
If your flight is cancelled, there is no need to panic. You can't have different reasons why flights are cancelled or delayed. It could just be for your own benefit, because you don't know what will happen at the destination.